Hi everyone, and we are joined by the URI people. Everyone's here. We have Ronnie sir, we have Yami, Vicky, and Aditya. So guys, it's been a great time, and you've had like massive success on URI. What does it feel like? What are the figures looking like right now, sir?
They're
200
growing.
plus.
They're growing. It's like a Bloomberg chart, you know. So
So 200 plus, and what does it feel like? Did you expect URI to do like so great?
see, I think the biggest impact for us has really been the impact that it's had on the audiences, on the young people. The appreciation from the armed forces has actually been something that's been very overwhelming, to be saying the least, really. So I think to us, that's way up there. I know we're sitting here with a group of business people, but it's also exciting if the audience gives you such a thumbs up and has the box office that it has right now.
It actually feels surreal. It's beautiful. We never anticipated this kind of a response from audience, and we truly feel blessed. And thank you. Like, we only have gratitude in our hearts, nothing else.
So,
I just want to interject for 1 minute because you said, what do you think about the reviews? I just want to say and put it on record, the reviews when we started off at the starting gate were not. But the reviews from the audience were so overwhelming that it completely drowned the reviews
but
of the
even
critics.
the critics received the movie quite well. Like
I would
everybody resounding.
I would say they didn't quite get it.
In comparison, in comparison to the kind of reaction we are getting from the audience, yeah, the reviews were little underwhelming.
The adjectives used there were exactly the opposite of what the audience gave the adjectives to the thing.
Basically, my first question is to Vicky. You started off with like Masan.
I'm so happy it's not How's the Josh.
Genuinely, I really wanted to do that, but they said
I could read your mind. I could read it just
I
there.
really wanted to.
I have a question for you. It's it's really been playing in my mind and this and that, and I've been really waiting for days to ask you this, and they go like, How's the Josh?
So Vicky, how's the Josh? So anyway, you started off with roles like Masan, and then you were in Lust Stories, you were like in Love by Square Feet.
Love per square foot, yes.
And then you were Kamlesh in Sanju, जो एक supporting role था. And then now you're like leading a movie, and it's a 200 crore film. Now, what is the pressure like for your upcoming projects? Do you think at this point, if you were given a role like Kamlesh, would you do it?
So, see, for me, I am very clear that the script and the story has to be the hero. That is one thing that dictates the terms. See, an actor can't make a film hit. A hit film can make an actor a star. I am only looking to work in good films made by good directors. It's as simple as that, and my focus is only going to be that. Of course, there is this pressure of not getting stereotyped. So if you've done roles where you've been the supporting actor in the film for like films back to back, then you have to be careful about it, that you're not putting yourself into some kind of a box. I just want that film to touch my heart, and I just want to go with the flow. That's it.
There must have been a whole lot of training and a whole lot of challenges that you probably underwent while morphing into this character. So what were they like?
It started off, the first step was to gain weight, which is a very difficult task for me. So it started off from there, and this is some 7 to 8 months before we actually went on floors. So my training for this film started off some 8 months before we actually, it was the first day of shoot. It started off with gaining weight, and then learning mixed martial arts, then the boot camp training for 2 months, 3 months, and then training with the military guys. Yeah, we were trained by the 7th Battalion of the Sikh Regiment, which were posted in Kaf Parade. Not just physical training, but also getting to meet people from the Special Forces, the Army, getting to know their experiences when they had gone on missions, their probation periods, and everything. So, accumulatively, it was about 8 months of time that, went into.
And he has a beautiful problem. He has a phenomenal metabolism. So he can even digest a brick. And it was impossible. Like, for first 2-3 months, we were like really.
I couldn't gain weight.
He
First
just couldn't
2-3
gain
months
weight.
of heavy eating.
Everybody else has that problem.
How he managed? He was working out, he was eating, he was puking out everything, and then again eating and working out.
And training.
And training, so phenomenal.
So, what would you say your like innate character is like? Is it like a chocolate boy, or are you an action hero? Do you ever think about
me as
it?
Vicky Kaushal?
Yeah. Like,
I don't know. I want to keep breaking that, in my own head. With every film that I do, I want to feel like, okay, I belong here. this is my space. So I've only just begun. I'm also exploring myself as an actor. I'm getting to know my strengths and weaknesses. So after Uri, yes, I feel like I'm an action hero.
Abhi ke liye action.
Abhi ke liye, but then I would want to break it again.
And for you, Yami, like when you zero down on any role that you have to play, do you ever like think about the screen time the character will have?
I don't know how can you gauge actually screen time, unless technically if I talk about Badlapur, which was a cameo. It didn't look like that when we were promoting the film because we had songs and we were there through other promotions, but technically it was always a cameo. How important is that character to the story? How substantial your character is to the story? And how can it help you explore yourself, the actor in you? Today is the time to break those rules if there are any such
So you think like content is obviously like...
I'm not saying the audience is saying that.
No, but like as an actor, like do you think about it? Do you think that
of course
the central character, where is the story revolving around? So like do you ever give it a thought? Is it like if a story is revolving around me, I'll probably prefer that over...
See, every time it won't be possible to get that author-backed rule. I know what you mean. And of course, who wouldn't like that? There's still a long way to go. But not every time it's possible. If you look at Hollywood also, there's so many examples, including Meryl Streep, and there's so many actresses who have perhaps maybe, like 4-5 scenes, but what they do, what they create in those scenes is something we talk
Leaves
about.
an impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Babu Moshai, zindagi lambi nahi, badi honi chahiye.
So just talking about how India's working right now and what the army is for the country, it's a very sacred space. It's like defied. This is the godlike space. And there are places in the country and there are people in the country who have problems. And obviously, the point is that do you think movies like this strengthen that belief that you cannot question the army at all at any point?
There's a certain discipline in life that the army teaches you, which is the actual bedrock. Frankly, I personally believe that every single youth in India should do 1 year in the army. Genuinely, we'll be a very different nation. We'll have a lot more accountability. We'll have a lot more discipline in ourselves. I think this movie was really originated to talk about a true life event, and Aditya can add on to that. But I think the message for us was really wanted to be inspirational.
Simply asking, do you think it would be fair for people to ever question the army? Are you okay with that?
People still question army. Actually, like it's a democratic country. Everybody can question anything. But what you have to look at is there's a problem nowadays that we look at the negative things little more. We scrutinize the negative things little too strongly rather than seeing the positives. If you see, if there are 500 soldiers who are sacrificing their life for us, we are picking up one case which might have happened, which might have been wrong, and we are actually like hanging on to that rather than looking at those 500 cases where they have actually sacrificed. So the idea of this film was to pay a tribute to the army and to showcase the kind of sacrifice they make for our country.
Yeah, and we're a democracy. We can question anyone. I don't think there's anything in that. To answer your question extremely directly, I don't think so. I think sometimes, to Aditya's point, the media glare actually distorts it and is not that objective, unfortunately, in this country. I think the normal, all of us here, when we talk as individuals, we ask more piercing questions with a lot more objectivity than the media does.
Audience has accepted it. Like they have enjoyed it and they have accepted it. And our point of view is we are storytellers. We want to tell great stories.
So like, do you think filmmakers at some point do this job of glorifying what war looks like? Because for a Jawan who fights on the border, it's very different from what, what it might be like for like, I don't know, for Vihan Singh in the movie.
Not exactly. Actually, come to think over it, for a surgical strike to happen, there was an Uri attack which had happened. The most important scene in the film is that funeral scene. It's the most heartbreaking scene in the entire film. So we are not actually glorifying it. We are telling you that this is what we lose. Like every day we are losing soldiers on border or for whatever counterinsurgency operations which are taking place. So there obviously were cinematic liberties which we had taken. But keeping that in mind, we tried to stay as close to the truth in terms of the operational part of it.
Don't you think there was a little pinch of propaganda? Little?
See, people actually, before the film release, they kept on saying that it's a propaganda film and everything. But 99% people changed their mind after watching the film.
Since you said that you couldn't bypass that, you had to show that in the movie. after the movie, the reactions it's got, for instance, it's a lot of certain political leaders also using the slogan in many of it. So, just a basic opinion that's been going around is that, maybe everyone in the movie is kind of with a certain ideology.
Understanding that, first is the clarity, absolutely not. I don't think I have any political lineage. I don't know about anybody else here. So let's get that record pretty straight as far as that is concerned. There was no concept of timing. Movies have their own time to take. It would have been a concept of when their dates were available, whether he did put on weight in 3 months or 8 months. We could have missed the elections if it was because of his, constitution.
Also, talking about the origins, is it true that you were planning to make a movie with Fawad Khan and then that got cancelled because of URI?
So that answers your question. We don't have any political agenda because I was making a
Hey,
film
I'm
with a
really
Pakistani
proud.
actor.
But
I don't have a problem. I love the movie. But
but what do you think about banning stars from here and sending them back to Pakistan?
I don't think we should be banning them, but at the same time, the kind of attacks which have been happening on our army, there has to be certain kind of decisions which need to be taken, which might be difficult, but we have to show that kind of respect to the army, like the kind of sacrifice they're making. We can't be like respecting that sacrifice and at the same time it's like having your cake and eating it too.
Also, government has to take sharp decisions. It's not easy to sit on the outside to be critical. Any government has to take a sharp decision. Some of your decisions are perception management. Some of your decisions are to send a signal, and some of them are actual roll out the tanks and the guns and do that. So it's a combination of all.
I like you said, this is as respect for the army. I don't understand how. Artists are not the ones fighting the army. The general civilian population there is not fighting us. So how is it not working with them giving any sort of risk?
the government, like Ronnie sir said, we have elected them to take harsh decisions. We have elected them to be the finger who pulls the trigger eventually. How else would you want them to make like a silent or a peaceful protest? Those are figures who can actually go back home and ask questions to their administration as to this is what we face in the neighboring country when something of this sort happens. Firstly, there's no negating the fact that those terrorist activities that happen, they are coming from that land. I mean, they have proofs and everything, okay? So one thing is sorted. उसके बाद में और कौन सा तरीका है? Of course, it's unfortunate. Of course, it's sad that they have to face the brunt. It's sad. But if you have to silently say something ki, boss, see, this is happening on a regular basis. Go back and ask questions. People listen to you in your land. The administration would listen to you. And please ask questions.
Everything would have its own context. The profileness of artists and Hollywood and Bollywood always takes a higher profile when it comes to the media, but there's 10 other things and action steps that need to be taken at the same time.
I'd like to call attention especially to this Google Assistant campaign that was there. I'll just explain it, which was if you have Google Assistant on your phone, your Android phone, you give it a certain command and it goes into URI interrogation mode.
I think you need to understand that you can't make a movie and then not expect people to come in. This was a movie where we feel we needed a maximum amount of people to come in. And for different people, we'll have to have a different positioning. So for some, it's curiosity. For some, it's entertainment. For some, it's whatever else. But before you know what this movie is about and nobody had the context of it, we had to get to those levels. But today, I think a lot of curiosity comes with controversy. So sometimes you do it. But I'm of the view that we did this with a lot of responsibility. If anything looked like it was too edgy, we shouldn't have done it.
So I want to ask you about this really interesting thing that happened after the film release. It was the anti-piracy campaign that you guys followed. As in, if somebody downloaded or torrented the film, they had a special thing waiting for them on their screens.
Yeah, I got
so.
No, somebody said, the article said URI is there and it's linked to download URI and it was in some newspaper. So that was like a very shady article because वो click करके वो download करो तो market हो रहा है.
And you were not trying to pirate, you were just being inquisitive.
First, for sure.
So what was the idea behind it? Like whose idea was this to like stop torrenting and anti-piracy type?
It came from our marketing team.
Yeah, I think the RSP marketing team thought about it. It was a very strong and powerful one. I think we'll keep it on for almost all the films that have a gun or anything else that can do that with.
Okay, what's the best compliment you guys have got? And that one moment that you'll remember?
was after one of the army screenings. Families and few soldiers came up to us and like I think the family members had tears in their eyes at that time, and they said that this is the best representation of the army, the soldiers, and what the families go through. And thank you so much. So that was something which,
out of the recent things that happened, which I can recollect, is yesterday only we got a letter from the 7th Battalion Sikh Regiment appreciating our efforts, and in the end writing that you are one of us, and our mess and all the other facilities, you can anytime you can come and use them, and you can just say that you are a part of the 7th.
I always wanted to go to the US club in Bombay. Now I can go anytime I want to go.
So just to hear that from the army, that you're one of us, I mean, nothing could beat that.
But one of the things was when an ex-intelligence officer, she asked one of my family friends to make a call to me and to tell me that I was really authentic as an intelligence officer. And she's actually, she said I could just see myself. I got back to those days when we've done, this entire operation, been part of such operations, and so that was really authentic. And so,
well, see, between all of them, I get the least amount of compliments and the least amount of praises. So, I'm from a small ration.
You get compliments in different forms.
Yeah. No, but I just to repeat actually what Vicky said, for me the special moment was when all of us were called to the Army Day celebrations this year, and when senior brass members said, this will have a cascading effect on the armed forces. We need inspirational movies like this for the youth to join any part of our Navy, Army and Air Force.
मेरा आखिरी सवाल, हाउस तो जोश नहीं है. It is, आप वैलेंटाइंस डे पे यहाँ क्या कर रहे हैं?
हाउस जोश ही पूछ लेते, उसका जवाब मिल जाता.
क्योंकि हम वैलेंटाइंस डे पे यहाँ पे, आप समझ सकते हैं कि हमारे पास कुछ और करने को
ये तो आप अपनी बात कर रहे हैं.
ये तो अभी तो हमने दी है. We've all given dates here.
Are you sure? You just went on record.
Sure.
You just went on record about something.
यार कोई एक दिन थोड़ा होना चाहिए to celebrate love. कि आज याद आ गया कि अरे हम तो प्यार करते हैं, तो ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए. I mean, every day should be a Valentine's Day. And
मैं तो कुछ बोल ही नहीं रही.
I love the Quint also. So, yeah, I'm celebrating Valentine's Day.
Yeah, for me, I have to say, I booked with my wife to go see a movie, and it's the last row.
Perks of being married.
I remember
this is my Valentine's Day
when we didn't have any place to go to, you would always book the last row of a movie theater, right?
I hope it's Uri.
I'm here with my team, Uri. My first thing my manager asked me, what are you doing? Anything on 14? I said, please give my date. Doing nothing. I'm nothing 14. So, sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
नहीं हमारी नौकरी है.
ये हमारी नौकरी है.
I wanted you to say how's the Josh in 5 different
Oh
ways.
yeah.
Come on. हाँ तो बताओ 5 different ways बताओ.
One is
Angry.
you're angry.
How's the Josh?
Hi sir. डर लगा मुझे.
I'm still angry. Sad. How's the Josh?
Hi sir.
So 2 हो गए. तीसरा?
Happy.
Happy. Happy तो कितना business हुआ है Uri का? 200+. How's the Josh, bro?
Surprised.
How's the Josh?
Hi bro.
Yeah, I don't really. Why are you doing this?
Oh,
We actually thought of seductive.
the Valentine's
Good.
Day, how's the
Thank you.
Josh?
Valentine's Day.
It will be integral who you look at also, I'll say.
Vicky Kaushal sitting on me, guys.
I might just hit on you. Bilal, how's the Josh?
Vicky, it's high.
That sounded seductive.
Thank you so much for coming here and speaking with us, and congratulations, and we hope